Hey everybody, Sean here with Pop Cycle Bobbles. Wanted to say hello and good morning. It's approximately 10:30 a.m. local time, and got up and started to work on stuff for the day. And I said, you know what? I really want to jump back in on that Sentinel. I had a good rhythm last night, but my brain just clonked out. So I thought, hey, let's jump back in. Let's do some more stuff. Let's make that happen. So we're going to do that in just a moment here. And before we do, we're going to let people have a moment to jump in. Oh, there we go. People starting to jump in. And I just wanted to say, hey, and welcome and thanks for coming back and hanging out with us. So before we get into the big nitty gritty of this, let's talk about where we are right now. What we're doing right now is we're designing a perler, what I like to call pixel bits, which is basically a standing statue. And that standing statue is going to be able to be made out of little things called perler beads. If you've ever seen them, they look like this, these little cute little guys. But I have to design it first. So I'm going to be in Photoshop making it. And a lot of people ask, well, how do you do this? How do you make what you're making? So I thought it'd be fun to show you guys behind the scenes how we make this. So let's go ahead and give you a preview of what's going on. So let's go ahead and go to our crystal logo. So that way everything looks nice and clean. You get a good layout here. And we're just going to give you a quick look at what's going on. So this is a Classic Sentinel. Now, this is what I consider pretty goofy looking. It is not my favorite design as far as the look. I always felt it looked like a guy kind of like in a weird rubber suit, which is a little awkward. But I do think it can be a lot of fun to kind of interpret that and to kind of go through it and figure out exactly how you want to make it. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep building off of this design in order to kind of make it happen. Now, I'm going to show you where we ended up last night. But before we do, I want to say thank you for checking everything out. And I want to go ahead and turn on this banner at the bottom here. So if you're joining us and you're not quite sure what's going on, it'll let you know what's happening. Let me go ahead and get my files ready to go real quick. And then we're going to kind of go through, we're going to pick back up right where we left off. So just bear with me for one moment while I get all of this up and running. And then we're going to jump right in. We're going to start making this. Now, the way I normally work is I'm just going to sit here and talk and kind of let you guys know what is going on as I'm building it. It is not meant to be a comprehensive tutorial, but if you have questions, feel free to ask. I am more than happy to help you with that. I am always available. I am classically trained in Photoshop, well over right at 30 years. I'm like at 29 in like 10 months or something. But yeah, basically, I have been doing this for a long, long time. And I love sharing kind of like what I've learned over the years. So feel free to ask questions. And I'm going to kind of walk you through it. I do use Photoshop, but this can also be applied to most other graphic programs. So, you know, just have to kind of use your wits a little bit. But let's go ahead and get everything started. And I'm going to go ahead and put us back into a share mode so you guys can see what we're looking at here. And we're going to talk a bit about scale for a moment. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go full screen because you guys don't need to see me right now. You just need to focus on the screen here. And let's talk about what we're looking at here. Now, if you've ever actually, wait, I apologize. You do need to see me for a second. Here, let me do the split screen. Okay, so let me tell you what you guys are looking at. So those little checkerboards that you see right over here, that's the equivalent of one of these boards. This board is about 4 inches by 4 tall, so it's a good size. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this and eventually build these guys. Now, for scale, you can see, let me see, no, this way. Okay, you can see that Wolverine is approximately 1.5 of these tall. And about 1.5 of these wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how big this Sentinel is going to be. So let's zoom in. And here, we're going to zoom in now. And we're going to show you just exactly, you know, what we're dealing with. Now, detail-wise, you get a good bit of work here. So you can get a good idea of what we're looking at. So, you know, the Wolverine looks nice, but it's a small figure. This is actually an old design. We don't use that design anymore, but it's good for scale when I'm trying to show people what we're working on here. And what we want to do now is we want to show you the scale of the Sentinel. So in order for me to build the Sentinel, I need to figure out what I wanted. So I actually took some sprites from the old Marvel vs. Capcom or X-Men Children of the Atom video game, and I started kind of playing around with it. So let me go ahead and start to show you how that came together. And what we did is we built a bunch of parts. So these parts, and I'm just kind of showing it up as it kind of builds here. I believe was this one. Yeah, there we go. So what I did is I basically said, okay, well, I knew that this was what the top was going to look like. If you've ever played the old game, you know that the Sentinel is so big, you couldn't even see him on screen. So the torso and the arms and the leg and the arms and the head were fairly well defined. But as far as the lower extremities, there was really nothing. So what I did is I found a sprite of Magneto using the same kind of color palettes, and I was able to kind of figure out this is what I wanted. But obviously we had to do some work on it. So I went ahead and I just started to kind of figure out what it was going to look like. And we came up with this. which is this guy right here. So this is giving us a good idea of what the ultimate build is going to look like. But let's really zoom in and show you what the problem is. This is what is known as aliasing or dithering. And this is basically an algorithmic process. What happens is that as you're building something in Photoshop, you're going to basically have Photoshop fill in the gaps for you. So it's going to do so in a number of ways. One of the ways it fills in the gaps is when you're trying to expand something or shrink something, it's going to algorithmically remove so many pixels from the build. And that means that sometimes it's going to have things that are going to be semi-transparent, half transparent, mostly transparent, or just almost not there. In the same way, as far as fully opaque, you can have something that's semi-transparent all the way to actual fully colored in pixels. And this allows them to fill in gaps and kind of, if it along. And as you can see, you're not going to get a lot of good detail here. But the interesting part with pixel art is that you need to be able to kind of take a step forward and understand where you're going to go as you're building it. So that's not nearly as important as you understanding how you're going to build. So last night, we started with our Sentinel. We built this guy up, and we kind of played around with it until we felt we had the right kind of scale for this guy. And then what we did is we used that as a basis of comparison in order to build our outline. So this is what our outline looked like. And for those curious, I'll actually put this right underneath it so you can see. You can see we built it right on top, but where I needed to, I started to go off book, and I started to build as is needed, so that way he looked the way I wanted him to look. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to help. I got my coffee, I got my orange juice, I got calories, and I got bean juice, so I'm going well. And that was going to be able to allow us to figure out what's going on. But at this point, this is where we have to start going really off book, and we have to start figuring out what we want to build. So one thing I use is I use specific colors in my builds, and this is my color palette up here. Now, these are my colors. I've actually expanded a few. I've taken a few out, but this gives you a good idea of what my colors are available to me. And again, let me just go back over here for a moment and remind you that every single one of these little colors that you see are going to be equivalent to one of these guys. So I have entire trays full of colors ready to be used. Here, let me kind of do it just like so, in order for me to be able to make what I need. So we're going to have that similar kind of process, just so that way we can have exactly what we're looking for. So this is going to be our color palette. And with that color palette, I like to usually work from my darkest or my almost darkest colors. And then what I do is I like to do what is known as color blocking. So if you're looking over here in my, and here, let me go back to full screen so that way, yeah, okay, yeah. So if we're looking over here on the right-hand side of my layers, you can see that I have an outline copy. That's this guy right here. And then I have something called color blocking. And color blocking is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be this. Now, here's the funny part. Pixel building is extremely ugly right up until the end. Getting a little bit of orange juice, so bear with me. Okay. And that means that you're not going to necessarily be 100% happy with the final look until you're almost to the end of this. So as you can see, just filling this in with color, it's not great. So then what we want to do is we want to start to build up color. And if anybody's ever had to paint miniatures or had to use acrylics or oils or anything like that, you know you're going to start with the color and then you're going to build up depending on the medium. One good thing about digital art, Photoshop, GIMP, Corel Draw, anything like that, is your colors don't have to necessarily raise in value or lower in value. You can just paint what you want on top of something else, and the computer can kind of figure it out. Whereas if you're working in oils, you have to remember that oil paint can be semi-transparent, which means you have to be very aware of what colors look like when they stack on top of each other. That's why a lot of people get frustrated with the process, because they don't realize that it takes actually a lot more understanding of the medium to understand how colors are going to work. And me, I am well trained in color. Everybody has a specialty as they become an artist, and I found out that mine is color, which absolutely lends itself to something like this. So we then went ahead and started to build up our color values. And our color values are just a separate layer that I can turn off and on the blocking layer. And as you can see, I'm just really sculpting with light right now. And this is just like if you're using Maya or Corel 3D Blender, or if you're using even something like Lightwave or 3D Studio Max, any of those programs, you're literally building things up. I'm doing the same thing, but I'm using color to build up my actual lighting. And this is going to give you a good idea of what we're looking at. So as you can see, we went from an outline to color blocking to then starting to paint this in with colors that I know I have available. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue this process, and we're going to keep this going, and hopefully you'll check it out with me and you'll hang out. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, that's cool, you know, but feel free to say hello, ask questions, whatever. And we're going to kind of keep on going here. So that's brought us up to speed. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to jump in, and let's get started. All right. So let's see. Where did we leave off last? I believe I was painting with a darker purple to start to block out some of this, just so I can get a good feel for where we're going to see here. And again, one thing I like to tell people is to not worry about what the ultimate final piece is going to look like. You can always go back. You can tweak and pull things out and put things back in. So if you want to experiment a bit, feel free to do so. Do not be afraid of experimenting just to see what it's going to look like. And also keep in mind that if you're painting with dark colors at any given time, you might feel like you're overshadowing. Well, with color blocking, the way we're working is we can always take that back out. So we're just kind of having fun with it right now. So a lot of people get freaked out that they're going to make a mistake and that they're going to go too far. And when you're painting in Photoshop, it's kind of like Bob Ross. There are really no mistakes. They're just happy accidents. The worst thing that can happen is you don't like something, you just take it right back out and you're good to go. So don't freak out if you do something that you hate. It's not a big deal. So what we're doing right now is we're just kind of playing around. I'm just kind of seeing where I like my color blocking to be, so that way I can really have fun with this. And chances are I'm going to go back and I'm actually going to do some things. And again, for point of reference, I'm using this as kind of a basis of comparison just to kind of get an idea here. And that was one of the old pixel designs that they have. Not a big fan of this, but it's good for reference if you ever want to just kind of look at it. This is from the old 1991 arcade game. Not great, but you know, you can get a good idea of what color is going to look like. I personally hate this style, but that's just a me thing. So, but it's good for reference. And one thing I tell people a lot is reference is key. And actually, let's talk about this for a second. I'm gonna back that up. I don't like what I did right there. Is reference is a huge piece of all of this. There are very few people in this world who can just draw, paint, create, what have you, out of whole cloth. It's almost an impossibility. I can't do it, but if you give me something to reference, I can absolutely draw. Those who are talented and creative enough who can do that without that extra bit of know-how are truly geniuses. And quite frankly, some of the best artists in the world, you know, your Michelangelos, your Botticellis, things like that, they're actually people who have to use reference. I mean, the Sistine Chapel, arguably one of the greatest pieces of art on the entire planet, was all referenced. He basically had to look at things in order to make them occur. A Leonardo da Vinci is a much more rare creature. And that's not a bad thing. That means that you have the capability of doing this. You just have to give yourself permission to try. So that's something I like to tell people. Use a lot of references. You know, look at a bunch of other people's work. Figure out what you like about it and then make it your own. We started with a piece of pixel art that was not the right size, not the right scale, not the right colors. All it really was a good outline. And now we're making it into something that I can use. And, you know, if anybody ever says, oh, that looks like this Sentinel from that, I'm like, that's exactly what it was inspired from. Because by we're done, every single pixel here will have been remade by me, you know, and I don't consider that to be a negative. I consider that to be a positive. So always kind of keep that in mind. Let's look back at this leg. Let's see here. So we have light sources. Most of our light sources tend to be coming from fairly forward direction and down. And if we're doing that, I probably need to paint this leg back a little bit more that way too. So we're going to go ahead. And I'm just going to make a big, bold choice here. And I want to say we're going to kind of do something like this. And you know what? I hate it. So let's do that. Let's go back. Let's try that again. Okay, so I'm going to use a lasso tool this time. I'm just going to let my hand kind of free flow this. You know, I was curious about what I'm using. I'm just using my trackpad right now. And I like using my trackpad. I like having the ability to touch. So this gives me quite a bit of control as I am painting. I'm a big fan of that. It might be a little weird for some folks, but it works for me. I've also can use pens. I can use a mouse, whatever. I just personally like to use whatever is in front of me. I was trained back in the day when we didn't have those devices. So we basically were taught kind of how to use whatever was put in front of us. The only thing I can't do is I can't plot with pure vectors, meaning I can't just type in my coordinates and just let it go. I need to be able to physically alter and touch it, whether it be through a mouse or through a trackpad or a pen or even my own fingertips. I got to have some kind of tactile control. I can't just type in the math. I'm good. I'm not that good. So that's my limitation. But there are some people out there that can just look at it and just plot using math. And I'm like, you guys are geniuses. Oh, here's our commissioner. This is Callie. Callie is the person who actually is commissioned this particular piece. So we're building this for her. And I'll be checking the comments from time to time. So if anybody has any comments or questions, feel free to ask while I'm working. But I'm just kind of keeping this going. And we're just going to kind of keep building until my brain decides that I've done too much. And then I will turn this off and I will work on something else. And that's something I also tell people a lot, which is don't try to do it all in one sitting. Don't get mad at yourself if it takes longer. A lot of people get curious. They're like, well, how long does it take? And a lot of times I'll tell them it takes as long as it takes. And that's not to be flip or mean or dismissive. It's meant to be, I'm a real perfectionist when it comes to this stuff. I don't want to send out something I'm not 100% happy with. So if I feel it's not to the level that I would want it to be, I will actually delay a design in order to get it where I want it, which can be frustrating for the client. I understand that, but I'm always big on communication. I say, hey, this is what's going on. So for something like this, Callie actually knew that it would be months before I started designing her piece because I was getting ready for Dragon Con. And even now I'm getting ready for C2E2. And chances are she'll probably get this at C2E2. We'll bring it up to her and she'll be able to walk in on the show floor and then just take it and say, hey, this is what I'm working on, or this is what I got. Because she'll have that unless she wants us to ship it. And then, of course, we'll ship it to her. So it just depends on what her mood is when we're done with this. But yeah, it's a cool thing to do. You know, taking custom orders, helping people realize something that they've always loved is a really cool thing to do. The trick is to try to get the energy. That's not a good word. I guess I'll go with energy. The intent behind what they're looking at. Because a lot of people say, well, how are you able to get such great looking designs? And I look at what the character looks like. I look at what people have done with it. I look at what people tend to gravitate towards. And then I try to work in a similar vein. So that way I'm not necessarily trying to remake anything. I'm just trying to bring forward whatever people really respond to. It's not a simple answer, but what it does is it allows you to have some creativity, some flexibility in what you're building. Because if you're able to get the essence of the creature down, the essence of the thing that you're making down, then the rest of it doesn't really matter, because you can just simply fill in and change and alter as is needed. And that's something I think a lot of people don't get. And I'm not happy with how this hump is going. So I want to kind of redesign here. I want to just kind of do something like that. And I'm not happy with that design. So if anybody's curious what I'm doing right now, I'm actually just kind of trying to sketch out just roughly what this foot is going to look like. Yeah, okay, that'll work. And then what I want to do now is I'm just going to simply paint in the parts that aren't needed right there. And then I will reverse it, and then I'll just get rid of, whoop, let's go to the right brush, and I'll just get rid of all of this. And again, I'm just playing around. There is nothing permanent about any of this. So if I don't like it, I can redo it. There we go. That's starting to look right. This back leg is going to need a little work, though, because I'm just starting to realize that all the rest of my lighting is exactly where I want it to. And if anybody's curious, let me kind of show you what's going on here. So light-wise, I'm basically generating, let me kind of, I'm just going to draw out what I imagine the light to look like. So I'm imagining there's a light from this direction, and I'll just kind of use a lasso that's kind of shining up like this. Now, I know this is horrible, but let's just imagine what's ever inside of this is the light projecting onto the creature. So we can see that there are going to be planes and angles that are going to get highlights and lowlights. Well, that means that this back leg, you see, I'm kind of showing that there's a little bit of a floodlight going on here. I need to sculpt out this a little bit more. I need to make this back part a little bit darker. And that's okay. That just means I need to play around with how the color is laying down here. So sometimes you'll get to a point you're like, oh, I didn't quite get that right. And this is a great example to show you how easy it is to just undo work and try again. So in this particular case, let's just say I'm not happy with his back leg. So I'm just going to go ahead and start to remove the parts that I feel aren't exactly what I want. And again, if I change my mind later on, I can bring it back. So there's nothing permanent to any of this that allows me or disallows me to not work with what I'm seeing here. So we're just going to kind of play around here for a second. Just kind of take a look at it. I want to just undo my blocking just for a moment. I'm going to come back out, look at that. And I really want to weigh how I'm feeling about this. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking maybe I like it like this, but maybe I just want to darken up that back leg a bit. So what I'll do is I think I'm going to try to just paint with a slightly darker color here. So again, we're just kind of having fun with it. We're not really caring too much about what the final is going to look like. Actually, let me back that up for just 1 second. All right, and we're going to do this. And then we're going to do that. All right. And I'm just going to paint just a bit. La, la, la. So anyways, hope you guys are enjoying this. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. If you have something you want to talk about while we're building this, that is okay too. I am more than happy to help kind of talk about what it is I'm doing and how I'm building it. This is, by the way, not close to what the final is going to look like. We still got a lot of other colors we got to add in, but okay, I'm starting to feel that now. And then I want to maybe paint with just a slightly smaller radius here because we don't need a lot. Yeah, okay, that's starting to feel a little bit closer to what I'm feeling here. All right, and that means that this leg needs a little bit less pronounced parts, which is fine. And we'll just go ahead and do something like that. And you can see we're just painting with light a little bit. And you can see just by doing that, and I think I need to do something on this other side right here just to kind of yeah. There we go. Okay. So now just a little bit of a tweak, and you can see now the light is getting just a little bit dimmer as we're getting further away from that portion. It gives that nice selling of the shadow. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to drink a little coffee here. So here we'll go back to coffee cam. Coffee cam. Ah, Lordy. But so anyways, as you can see, we're going to start designing this. Now, the next part of this is we're going to build up a little more purple, and then we're going to start to move into some pinks and some violets, just so that we can have a nice variation. So I figured it'd be nice for you to see that I'm actually consuming beverages instead of just hearing weird gulping noises. I don't know, just hearing noises to me like that kind of freaked me out, so maybe the visual will help. But I hope you guys are having an awesome morning. Hope you watch some Saturday morning cartoons. I did not. I read comic books because I was going to work on comic stuff, so. All right. Last one done. Let's finish off the coffee. Hope everybody likes my little Chewbacca mug. All righty. Okay, beverages are done. Got a little something on my eyes, and then we're going to jump back in. Anyways, hey folks. So I might get quiet here while I'm working, and I'll come back. I'll check every once in a while back into the chat. But if anybody has any questions or anything, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of keep on trucking on. And I feel like I painted as much as I can paint right now with the purples until I start to get the other shades in here. So let's move up to our next highest color, which is going to be this cat right here. And let's take a look at what we're looking at. So let's just kind of get an idea of what's happening. So we're going to look back here. And what I'm looking at right now is this is where we're going to have to start interpreting a little bit. So as you can see, we have a really dark purple here, and then we have a slightly less purple right there. So if we're looking at what we're viewing here, so we have those two shades. So that means we need to find the next purple up. And in this particular moment, that means it's going to be this guy right here. So we really want to start painting out this kind of area. So we're going to do that now. We're just going to kind of go ahead, and we're going to start to paint out for this next bit of the area. So we're just going to start to build up that ridge, and we're going to see how that looks. And again, we'll go back and forth. You know, again, there's nothing permanent here. So I like to do this a lot where I'll just kind of go back and forth, just like so. And if we ever need to tweak it, we can. So just kind of da-da-da-da. Then we want to leave a little bit of a ridge at the bottom, like so. And again, we're just kind of looking. We're not holding anything permanent here. We're just trying to get a good look as to what's going on here. And what I love about this is that there are no right or wrong answers. People get so locked in on, oh, I didn't make that look right. There's no right. There's just, okay, does that feel like I'm going in the right direction? you know, and if I think I'm going in the right direction, I'll just paint with it. And then if I decide later on, you know what, I can clean that up, I just come back and I clean it up. So that's all I'm doing right now is I'm just making choices and I'm seeing how they look. And if I ever get curious enough to like say, well, did that work? I can just zoom out and say, all right, I can see where that's going. You know, so we'll go in, we'll zoom back in, just like so. And again, we can always compare and contrast. And just start to see where we're looking and where we're going. And the cool part is that all I have to do in order to undo a mistake is just simply paint with the other colors. So now I can just kind of go, okay, well, that's not quite where I wanted it to be. So maybe I want to trim this back a bit because then I'm going to paint more with this guy right here. And again, I'm just kind of taking my time, not really trying to, you know, go crazy, just, you know, seeing what I can do. And what I'll do when I'm done with this is, let's say I'm blocking out a lot of color, but I'm not quite feeling the progression here. Well, let's just do a little erasing. Because remember, we have that original color block underneath it. That color block is extremely useful. Oh, and actually, I just realized I did something backwards. Whoopsie. That's okay. I forgot I was painting. I forgot my midtone was, one of my midtones was my darkest color here. So I can actually kind of go back and do this. So again, we want to take a look. See what's up. Alrighty. We can kind of come back out, and yeah, see, I'm starting to like that a lot more now. I'm starting to get a nice definition of what we're looking at here, which is good because we're starting to really kind of build this up. And again, this is just kind of showing you what we can do with it. Then I can go back and I can start to paint again with this, and I can look at where they had their light sources at. So I can see that basically the very top of this center light is going to have a pretty good focus, as well as this area. So let's go ahead and paint that out. And again, we're not worried about anything as far as like final. We're just kind of playing around with it. So if we like it, and we'll keep it. And if we hate it, then we'll take it away and be like, nope, that didn't work. That is not a problem. And again, we're just kind of looking at it and going back and looking at it and going back and looking at it and going back and going like, all right, that's working for me. But I still want to have a little bit of a more definition on the back end. Well, actually, not that part. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. And what we're doing is we're just trying to make a little bit of depth here. And if we do it right, your eye is going to do a lot of the work for you. So when I pull back out, you see how that automatically gave it a little bit of a ridge? So you see we went from that to that. And you see how it's now starting to give me that little ridge of depth here. We're going to build that up. And this is just basically color blocking. We're just blocking out the color, and we're seeing what's working. And if it works, we're going with it. And if it doesn't, then we're like, well, screw you, go away. So let's see here. Looks like we got a little highlight ridge right here. It's going to go down and then right there. So let's take a look here. So it looks like we're going to have just a little bit of a ridge right there, just like so. And again, just kind of take a look at it, be like, all right, that's working, but maybe not quite to that degree. Let's pull it up one more. And look at it. I'm like, all right, that's starting to feel what I want it to look like. Then we can come back here. Start to paint it like so. We'll do that, and we'll do that. I'm really starting to feel this. I'm starting to feel where the piece is going as far as how I'm sculpting it out, which that's what you want. When you start to really feel it, that's when you know you're on the right path, because you can start to feel the shape just take a hold. See how that works? Just by using those three colors right there. See how quickly that goes from being just kind of a block of, oh, that's interesting, to, okay, I'm starting to see it. And that's what you want. You want to just take your time and really get to that point where it's starting to feel like you can understand where your eye is going to travel. And that's really the whole point of this, is really understanding where your eye travels is going to give you a lot of really good experiences. And the trick is that it's just practice. It's over and over again practice. So if you've ever been trying to paint in Photoshop, or you ever tried to do spriting before, and you get frustrated because like it doesn't look right, it's not feeling right, just keep trying, because chances are you're closer than you think. You just got to keep pushing yourself a little bit to get to that point where it starts to really develop all on its own. And that is a thing that I think is probably hardest for most creative folks, is allowing yourself the time to make mistakes. Laura is a perfect example. My wife is a great example of, she wants to be perfect at everything as soon as she tries something. And so her philosophy is, I will study it until I understand it. And it's not a bad philosophy. It actually works really well for a lot of people. However, I find that the best teacher is by doing. So for me, I need to get my hands dirty. I need to go in there. I need to try. I need to build. I need to screw it up. I need to make it happen again. And I want to really take my time to understand, why is part A working but not part B? And once you start to really understand that, your brain starts to make those connections, and you're going to start to see a lot of success in how that's going to build up. Like right here, see this little ridge? Now, I don't have to paint this in, but I want to, because I feel like, well, if it'll go in, there we go, thank you. It's just going to give me just a little bit of extra depth here on this backside. Now, is this necessary? Absolutely not. But it will allow me to just sell the depth of this just a little bit more. See how I did that? Just giving it a little bit of depth on that back end will allow it to just make it feel like light is spilling over that ridge right here. So that way it feels more like there's something going on. Oh, and we got from Ty there. Hey, Ty, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, a little bit of an early rise. Just sitting here designing. Got up and wanted to make sure we could. Hold on, I want to pop my neck. There we go. Wanted to get back into the designing of it, and I said, well, hell, if I'm going to be sitting here doing it, might as well go live so you guys can see what the heck is going on. Because I don't really do this all that often. I don't show people how I design, so I figured it would be good to just kind of keep that going, because I know for a lot of people, they're always curious about exactly how the heck I do what I do. So I was like, well, let's show them. But yeah, early to rise. We had to go and ask the neighbor kids to kind of calm down a bit, because I was so tired after last night's show. I basically just went upstairs and I collapsed within like 25 minutes. And so I went outside. The kids were basically running sprints in front of our house. And the way our master bedroom is set up, our master bedroom faces the road. So they were running fairly close to our master bedroom, even though we're on the second floor. And I was like, guys, keep running. Have a great night. Do what you're doing. But could you just do it a little bit quieter? Because I'm so sleepy. And they're like, we're sorry. One kid called me sensei, which I thought was hilarious. I know he was just kind of being like, just being with a kid, just trying to, just being a bit of a punk. But I couldn't help but appreciate the kid's sense of humor. I was like, all right, you're cool. So that was funny. But yeah, it was cute. So no big problems. But yeah, so as soon as we got done, I went and I crawled up in the bed with Laura, and we passed the hell out. And I was asleep probably till about 8:30. And so then I was like, okay, time to get up. Yeah, it's looking good. And so just jumped kind of back in. Definitely better than being called a boomer. I'll take that. I'll take not being called. Hold on. Truth. I will definitely take being called an early riser versus a boomer. So definitely. All right, back to it. Okay. So again, we're just kind of working on the color spectrums here, just kind of figuring out where everything's going to be. And all right, you know what? We're gonna paint a little around this for a moment. So what was your life? What was your day like today, Ty? Anything fun or interesting going on over there on the other side of the planet? Over here, it's been pretty quiet. Yeah, we're actually getting a lot of slack for just kind of like, being here right now, Americans. But, it's well deserved. We're in a weird place right now as a country, but we're working it out. Hopefully things are quieter over where you are and everything is going well. And over here, it's not too bad, just trying to figure out this whole COVID thing. It's one of those bits where it's like, go get your shots and just take care of yourself. But whew, so many folks, they just get riled up about it. It's like, come on, guys, we're all in this together, but they get all freaked out by it. But on the flip side, I will say this. Now that I've gotten my shot and, we use our masks and, we just kind of like, we're aware of what's going on. I feel a lot more kind of even keeled about things. Things are starting to feel a little bit more just kind of regular around here, at least for us. And that's because, we just take great care to, take care of ourselves and our friends and our family around us. So that's good. So we've been kind of enjoying having the flexibility to start to do things again. So long as, we take our time and, we don't, just act willy-nilly, wear a mask, use hand sanitizer, stuff like that. But it's been good. It's been really good. So that's been something that we've really been enjoying. But I'll tell you, it's still tricky. It's still this weird thing that's just kind of floating in the air around everybody, which I don't know if that's ever going to go away. But I do know that it is going to get better as time continues to progress. But yeah, it's definitely a weird time for us. But we're working on it. We're working on it. All righty. Let's see here. Do I want to pull that? Maybe a little. Let's see. How's that look? It's kind of a vague back area anyways. Let's see if that helps at all. Yeah, I'll go with that. Okay. So let's see what else is happening here. Let's see here. We got, yeah, my life has been warm. It's getting cooler though. Yeah, same. Whew, man. Yeah, people get riled here also. Can't help that people aren't willing to change their ways. Like any plague over the years, people just forget about them at some point. Yeah, and I mean, not to get too much into it, but I mean, epidemiology-wise, most of these things only take about 2 to 3 years to run their course, and after that, everybody's either been affected or they've gotten a vaccine. So we're running at like 2.5 years at this point. So yeah, within 6 months, by hook or by crook, we're going to be through this. At this point, it's just about saving lives, so that's what I keep focusing on is, just trying to help people understand that. And something I've done personally is for friends who are still feeling a little hesitant about getting the vaccine, because I get that, it's a big, scary thing. If you don't, if you've ever had family members who maybe have, had died from medical treatments or whatnot, you might be a little leery about medicine. I totally understand that. So, I've tried to, help allay fears where possible for folks who are open to that conversation. And for those who aren't, I don't make them feel bad. I have a number of friends who are very leery of the vaccine, but they're really good humans in the fact that they go out of their way to make sure that they wear masks, that they use hand sanitizer. And quite frankly, if you're not going to go get your vaccine, at least be aware enough to do that. And they are, and I really appreciate that. So that is something that I cannot overstate is, that you could still be somebody who's trying to bring this to an end or bring it to as quiet of a conclusion, even without getting the shot. Though, of course, the shot is your best guess. But, everybody will look for whatever it takes. I had a person that I know who was going crazy about this Nicki Minaj thing. Like, oh, Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend's testicles, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, out of every single shot they've ever given of these mRNAs and whatnot, right? I said flat out, okay. I said, if you're looking at all this, that means 1 in 2 billion, 3 billion shots chance of your testicles swelling, if that's actually happened. And I was like, whereas in America, if you're unvaccinated, death from COVID is about 1 in 500. And I was like, keep that in mind, guys. And they're like, that's a good point. And I was like, what's scarier, 1 in 500 or 1 in 4 billion or whatever the hell the shot number is at this point? I think it's like 3 billion or something like that. And they were kind of like, huh. And I was like, and again, it was just, fear kind of painting what they thought. And once we talked about it a bit, they're like, you know what, you're right. And I was like, thanks, and if you can have those conversations with people, great. And if not, don't force it on them. So I'm going to kind of put a pin on that. Let me read up on Ty's last comments, and then I'll put a pin on that because I don't want to bring down the room any. Let's see here. The issue occurs when people aren't willing to take precautions without the vaccine. They need to change the way they've been living their life up until now. Yeah, So, and then of course there's the thing we can't tell in early stages is long term. So both effects choices are valid. One thing I will say, and this is just from me studying the science on it. Now I'm not a scientist, but I do have a relatively analytical mind, so I do understand a lot of the processes that go along with it. All the vaccines, all of them right now, are what are known as non-living vaccines. And in the history of all vaccinations ever, there has never been a case of a non-living vaccine hurting somebody past a couple months. We have 18 months worth of data now, of consistent data showing that these vaccines are safe and that there are not going to be long-term side effects. And people try to point to, really weird things like phthalimide, trithalamide. I forget what it was, but it was this thing in the 40s that people would use, the 40s and the 50s, to knock women out during childbirth, so that way they wouldn't experience pain. And come to find out, it had these horrible side effects where children would be born without arms or legs. They would have smaller arms or legs, or just really just kind of horrible stuff. And turns out that was because of this phthalimate stuff that was going on. And that's the reason why America made the precautions that we do when it comes to submitting things to the FDA, which is why it's such a rigorous thing to go through it. So it's like, you pointing to that and saying, oh, it could be like this, it is really kind of a ghost, because it's not really the same thing. It's a much different situation for a good reason. And the science is really on our side on this one, because non-living vaccines don't they just don't work that way. If it's a living vaccine, living vaccines can have side effects years later sometimes, but even that is incredibly rare, and we would know about it. After 18 months, we would be able to start to track the epidemiology of any kind of side effects. There are none. And it's just fearful of what is unknown. And I get that, that's, and it's hard because when you say that, people go, I'm not afraid. It's like, come on, you're a little afraid. It's okay to be afraid. It's not a bad thing. Fear is not a bad word. Fear is actually a thing that keeps us alive. So it's like, it's not this horrible word that you have to be like, oh, I'm not afraid of nothing. It's like, it's okay. But it does mean that you have to kind of acknowledge that, yeah, it can be scary. Oh, look at that. That's really starting to come together, guys. Sorry, we've just been kind of sitting here working and talking, and that's really coming together. So here, let me go back to the comments real quick. But yeah, so anyways, that's where we are with that. And hopefully things are going to continue to get better for folks, and I think it will, and we're going to get through this. But again, I hope you're all having a fantastic day wherever you are. It is definitely getting cooler here. Right now, we're actually worried about here, I'm going to stop for a second. I'm going to go back to me just for a moment. All right. Right now, we're worried about the fact that there is a hurricane that is forming out in the Atlantic, and it is the most lined up to hit us that we've seen in a couple years. But it looks like it's not pulling the right kind of water to become really dangerous. So if it hits us, it might be a Cat 1 or something. Which I'm not happy about. But a Category 1, I mean, quite frankly, Category 1 and 2 hurricanes, we get hit all the time around here. As far as annually, we usually get at least one tropical storm and at least a Cat 1 every year hurricane. That's not uncommon in the Charleston area. So we're like, yeah, okay, not a big deal. In fact, here, let's go look and see where we are. Let's see. Let's share that one real quick. We'll share. Let's see. We're going to share. Let's see where we are. Yeah, here, we're going to do that for a second. We'll share that. Yeah, that'll work. All right, hang tight. So let's see. All right, so this is what we're looking at right now. So again, we're right about there, and this little guy right here. So this little punk has just been kind of floating around. So this punk started like down here and it's just been kind of moving in this direction. So she'll kill out once she gets into the Canadian areas. This is the cat that I'm looking at right now. And in fact, we can look at the 5-day tropical outlook. We can kind of see exactly where it's barreling at. And now we're seeing that it's starting to take a much sharper turn. So a couple days ago, this thing was basically angled right at us. And if it keeps on this track, you can see it's going to hit in this region, but it's starting to turn further and further north. So my guess is, just by what I'm seeing here and what we have been seeing, is I think it's going to curve. If anything, it's going to hit in the upper northern coast of the United States. Could be wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen there. I don't think that there's enough of a pressure front to keep it pushed in. One interesting thing about living right here on this part of the country is the right pressure systems have to really knock it in there. But when it happens, they come at us hard. So that's always something to consider. But yeah, anyways. So that's something that we have to deal with probably in another 7 days or so. But it's okay. We'll get through that. Yeah, I don't need to see this anymore. But let's get back to this. So as you can see now, we're starting to really get a good sense of exactly what this character is looking like, how we're fleshing it out. And it's really coming together quite nicely. And what we need to do now is we need to start painting the bottom part of them, the part that's going to have the least amount of reference. So in this particular case, we know that the light source is going to be kind of coming from here. So again, we're just going to I'm just kind of painting a little bit just to flesh it out. And the best part about this is if I don't like anything, I can just erase as is needed. Actually, I'm feeling that pretty well. I really like how this back arm, how I was able to get that nice metallic look and get some streaks. In fact, actually, let me do one more thing, because I really like this, and I want to keep that kind of blockiness kind of going here. So what I want to do is I want to do one more, just like so. And you know what? That might be too much. Let's see. You know what? No, I like that. I think that looks really good. So we're getting a really good sense of the metallics now, which is exactly what we want. We want it to have a nice, crisp look, and it's really getting there as far as I'm feeling this. So I'm really feeling pretty happy with what I'm seeing here. But what I want to do now is I want to focus on these legs. Now, these legs are going to be the bane of my existence. They are going to suck until there's no more suck left to suck. And that's okay. I knew that was going to happen. So what I want to do is I want to kind of figure out where my highlights are. And I believe in this particular case, I'm going to use what I have as a point of reference. And let's see here. I'm just going to kind of freehand paint this to kind of, yeah, I think that works. So then we'll just kind of fill in a lot of that. So real quick. By the way, if anybody's curious, that little mechanical noise you're hearing in the background is our dishwasher. I did some dishes this morning before I got started, so I was responsible and cleaned up the kitchen a bit before I got into the work of the day. You know, try to do the little things so that way they don't build up on you. Try to be considerate, you know. I think tonight we're going to have lasagna, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm like, yeah, I think lasagna is going to be on the menu tonight. So I'm looking forward to some lasagna, looking forward to some, yeah, I'm really liking that. See, that front leg is really selling it for me. Now, one thing I like to do sometimes is when you're sculpting with light, sometimes you want to define the back end of something. So you might want to go back and actually take some color out. So in this case, I'm actually going to do that. I'm just going to go on this ridge right here, and I'm going to paint out the back end of what I'm seeing here. And I'm going to just go one pixel at a time just to kind of get a good sense of it. And then I want to take a look at it again. So come back out. Yeah, I like that. And then I want to just kind of paint it one more deep. Yep, I'm feeling it. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that. And actually, then what I'll do is I'll come back and I will paint with just one more little bit right here, just like so. Yeah, I like that. That's feeling exactly what I was hoping for. And now that I have that, I can see that this back leg, I can probably just kind of, I'm going to just kind of paint a little freehand here. Oh, actually, I don't need to do that because I forgot I have my eraser. I can just kind of freehand this a little bit because I painted with the mid-tone, not with the darkest tone. Yep. And then just a bit on this. And actually, you know what? Maybe not on that heel right there. Maybe we'll just kind of Yeah, I'm feeling that. I need to get rid of these guidelines here for a second. Don't need them anymore. But yeah, that's starting to really feel where I want it to be. So as you can see, just sculpting with some light will really give you some cool effects. So don't be afraid to just kind of play around with it and see what happens. Let's see here. Okay, well, we have a question, which is what kind of lasagna do you guys eat over there? Like what it contains. In general, it's pretty straightforward. It's going to be just standard lasagna noodles, you know, so it's just gonna be those flat, like kind of like rigid, those flat little kind of wavy noodles, and then of course we'll have like ricotta cheese in it. We'll have some sour cream. We'll have a red-based tomato sauce. We'll have lots of different types of cheeses in there, mozzarella, and then we'll also have, of course, some sort of meat. Usually it's like turkey or whatnot. We don't really do a lot of beef. We're pretty much birds. We eat like chicken and whatnot. I'm not quite ready to go full vegan yet, but I do like trying to keep my carbon footprint as low as possible. And as meat resources go, fish and chicken are about as good as you can go. Plus, we like cows. Cows are really cute. They're like dogs. And I don't like eating things that I would consider a pet. So I eat beef, but I don't eat it nearly as much as I eat chicken and turkey. So that's just a personal preference of mine. Which I'm sure anybody was like, oh, of course I need to know that, but I'm cheering because I wanted to submit. Yeah, so that's my own personal preference on that one. Let's see here. I'm gonna do something a little weird this time. I'm gonna try something. This is something that works time to time. It may not work here, but I want to see if I can get it to do it. Because I want to break up some of the monotony on this back leg. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just sketching right up to the point of where we were. Let's see here. In general, meat plus cheese isn't really a thing here. Really? You don't have any meat in your lasagna, so I wonder if you guys go around differently. I honestly, yeah. I mean, we have meat in ours. Yeah, that's interesting that you guys don't have meat in your lasagna. That's cool. Yeah, like I said, you know, it's interesting. We do a lot of meat and cheeses. But like I said, I'm more of a like a. I like chicken. I eat a lot of chicken. And I eat a lot of turkey. But we don't do a lot of beef. A little bit of pig, not a lot of pig, you know. But like bacon, we do like turkey bacon and whatnot. Let's see let's see what this looks like. I'm just trying something a little weird here, and I think it's going to work. Feeling it. I'm not exactly sure what it is yet, but I like it. Sorry if I get quiet while I'm doing this, guys, just because I'm really kind of contemplating what I'm seeing. So it's weird. When you paint in pencil, sometimes you have to kind of think really abstractly. Yeah, I like that. That gave it a nice little something. That gave it a cool little curve, a nice little metallic little edge to it. I like that. Let's see, maybe if I can replicate a little bit, something like this. And maybe we'll paint back just a smidgen. I think I like it better like that. Yeah, I like that. That's feeling where I want it to be. Yeah, I'm thinking that's where I want it. Yeah, I like that. All right. So we're going to go back in, and now we're going to go ahead and paint just the highlight portion of the boot. And again, we got to remember that the boot light is going to be coming more or less from over here. So I want to give it more light over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of sketch it out up to about here. And then I'm going to kind of paint it down just like so. And I can just kind of fill it in as is needed. And I think I like the idea of it cutting across just like this, just a bit. Now, why do I like that? I don't know. Reasons. Yeah, like that. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to make this thing feel cogent. And as you can see now, that's really starting to come together. Like you can see that that's really becoming something that's feeling like there's some light bouncing off of it. And yeah, like I feel like if you saw this in a video game, you're like, all right, that's pretty cool looking. Which is kind of always my basis of comparison, which is, does this look cool? If it does, then I feel like I've done the accomplishment. And if not, then I need to go back and do more. I'm going to throw out that banner. I don't think we need that on anymore for now. But yeah, I really feel like that's starting to paint out that light a bit. And again, we're just kind of taking a look at it. We're going to get a nice setup. And now we're going to start looking at some other colors here. So we're going to start moving into our pinks, and we're going to start moving into our really kind of violet-y tones. So in the case of this, we had some options here. So what I like to do is I like to take a look at where I'm at. And in this case, I know I have two different types of light pink. Do not need to know more about the magic wand tool. Thank you. So I know I've got that, which is going to be a nice pink. And then I need my slightly darker pink here. So let me go ahead and just, and I forgot I have a new darker pink that I can use. So I'm just going to downshift just a smidge. Okay. Now, these are going to be midtones. Let's go ahead and paint and highlights. Now, the reason why I'm doing a different color here is because this is where we're getting really experimental. So this is where I don't want to accidentally screw up all this really good midtone work, because this midtone work is right at it. Like, I'm feeling so happy about this. There will probably be very little changes to that. And in fact, in most cases, I would call this done. On a smaller character, I only paint in 3 or 4 colors anyway. So at this point, I'm done. But on larger characters, you got more real estate. So you get to paint with a little bit more depth of field. So I'm going to focus back up on the shoulder area, really kind of get into this. We're going to just, again, take a look as a point of reference to start painting with it. And we're going to see what's going to go on. So again, if anybody has any questions about anything, feel free to ask. But yeah, so yeah, tonight is a lasagna night, and I'm looking forward to lasagna. I'm feeling excited for it. And then we'll have some, some garlicky bread and whatnot to go with that. So it's going to be tasty. All right, so we're going to just paint in some pinks. And as soon as I painted the pink, I realized, you know what? We're not going to be able to go with that. I need to go with a much darker shade first. I need to go with almost a... Now I'm having a problem. And this is more of a mental problem in my head. So here, actually, here, I'm going to go back and I'm going to take a look here. I want you guys to see what I got to... Like, I just hit a mental block. And it's not a bad block. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do. So let's talk about colors here for a second. And in order to kind of really convey this, I need to show... Hey, sweetie. Laura's up. So we're going to do a little thing here with color in just a moment. So bear with me.
Nothing.
I said, hey, baby.
That's it.
I did. I told you, hey, baby. You woke. You arisen. How you doing, sweetie? Say hey to the internet. Laura said, what's up, internet? Okay. So at this particular point, I got to figure out what my transition is going to be in here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So bear with me. The camera's going to go wonky. Actually, here, let me go full screen so you guys don't get like seasick for a second. So that way we can kind of take a look at this. So just hold on a moment while I... What's the matter?
I washed this down yesterday with Pine Sol.
Oh, did you?
Water, a little bit of Pine Sol on the rag, and I wiped it down trying to get through to whatever weird concoction has grown smelly-wise into that.
Hello, Mrs. Popcycle, says Ty.
Hello.
All right, so we're going to go back. I'm going to go full screen on me for a moment here. So this is what we're looking at, all right? So this is our darkest red that we've already used. Actually, here, let me use my little... Okay. So this is our darkest red. This is our next red up. It's called a cherry. And then this is the lighter red from there. Now, at this particular point, I have some pinks I can look at here. Now, I have a lot of different shades. And it might be that I'll go back and I'll actually use these instead. So I'm going to kind of show you, because the Sentinel has more violets and pinks than it does. Actually, this might be a better one. Let's see. So hold on, I'm getting all my pinks and stuff organized here.
It's these. You want to get that purple, those purples and that pink. Those are
Well, I got my purples over here, so.
But these are his colors. These colors. These are him.
No, you'll see. So these are my other shades. So these are my other progressions that I have. Now we want to use pinks because, and again, I'll show you the progression when we put it all together is going to have a darker red that's then going to go into a pink area there. So we want it to move into pink. So what I'm thinking is I was hoping that I could use a little bit more red than I was using, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to say no to this red. And I might even have to say no to that.
Nuts.
And then go like this. Because I'm thinking about 5 shades of pink are what we're going to use here. And Callie, if you're watching and you want to let me know, let me know. So I could do it like this. I can make it, so we can have that nice progression of pinks. Just like so. And in fact, I may even want to do this. So that way we don't go into like a super light pink. We might. I don't know. I'm just kind of screwing around here for a second.
I don't know anything. I'm not talking. You told me I was wrong. Go away.
Oh my Lord. You are such a sensitive bunny.
Hi, babies. All
right. So I'm thinking that's going to be our ultimate progression here, which is we're going to go from that really darker red that we have, that crayon apple red, and then I'm going to move over into the raspberry color. Then I'm going to move into my pinks. And I think that's how we're going to have to handle this, which means that the reds that I had, which were what we've painted with so far, we're going to have to go back and we're going to have to color adjust them. And this is actually something that happens to be quite frequently. It's not a big deal. It's actually really easy to fix because Photoshop. But I think that's what's going to happen. Is I've made some kind of weird smiley face character. We're going to call him Smile Eyes. Hello, Smile Eyes. See these little eyes, right? And then he's got his little mouth. Hi. But so instead of moving into the red shades like I have been, I think I'm going to move into more of a pink shade in order to get that kind of progression that I want, which is we're looking for that. So let's go with that. So now that I figured that out, and I know that I'm going to be moving into more of a raspberry pinky color, we need to go back and make some changes. Very easy changes, but got to make them nonetheless. So I'm going to put this back on full screen for a moment so that way I can move the camera back and get everything situated. So bear with me for a moment while I do this. No. And Laura's very much like, no, because...
You have 2 cameras. You have the camera on the table and the camera on you.
Well, yeah, but since we're designing in Photoshop, I decided the second camera wasn't really necessary, so... All right, and now we can just kind of whoop back over to me. Okay. Well, okay, I guess I was wrong in the fact that I guess I was wrong. I don't know. Like, no, I've had coffee and orange juice. Well, I figured we were going to do our morning, our normal morning or afternoon routine in a little while, which is we're going to go have lunch. So, but right.
I just put water on. Should I turn it on?
Sure. Okay, so let's go back now, and we're going to go back full screen. Let's talk about this, and we're going to go ahead. So instead of me keeping going into the red shades, which again, the shades are great, they're awesome. They're just not what we need right now. So what I want to do is now that we've figured out that we're going to be moving into those violet shades, we're going to adjust just a bit here. And that means we're going to call an audible. And audibles are fun because it means we're going into something brand new that we're not quite sure exactly what it's going to look like. So now, since I know that I'm going to be painting with different shades of pink, boom, just like that. There we go. And in fact, right there, I know I made the right call because you can see now we're much closer to that violet-y shade, just like so. That's, yeah, I'm really digging that. So hopefully Callie is watching. And let's see, let me text her because I have her contact.
No, she's asleep.
No, she's up.
Why are all you people awake?
I was called Mr. Early Riser just a minute ago, so.
Yeah, you are, because it's a Saturday. I mean, Ty was up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah, Ty was up like way early, so like like
6 a.m. on a Saturday. I was like, why?
It's like, why do you hate yourself?
I barely wanted to be out of bed at 11:30. I just wanted to lay there and stare at the ceiling fan.
So stare at the ceiling fan.
Yeah, but then I heard you down here, and I got lonely.
Oh, you're so sweet.
You can go outside.
Okay, so Callie, what are you feeling on the I just shifted to the pinks.
That looks so wonderful.
So I shifted over to the pinks here, Callie, instead of the reds.
Oh.
How are we feeling about that? Because honestly, that's closer to what they have anyways, and I knew I was going to move into the pinks, but I want to make sure before I committed to it that you're okay with it.
It's brilliant.
So Laura's very happy with the
I think it looks perfect.
So we're getting into highlights now. So we're starting to paint with highlights.
He does not skip leg day.
No, he does not skip leg day. Sentinels do not skip leg day at all. They are very, very much so. But hopefully that's you're feeling the. Whoop! I don't need that. I hit the wrong button.
Okay, come on.
You like it? All right, cool. I just want to make sure because I moved away from red and I moved it into the pinks, which is where they want to be. But you know, going pink sometimes can be a little much.
Oh Lord, it's hot outside.
Yeah, we're gonna have a warm day today, but that's okay.
Lord. Okay, y'all tell me when you're done. I'm shutting the door.
All right. So now we're just going to take a look real quick. And we're going to start painting. We'll shut the door. Oh, okay.
I did.
All right. So now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to start painting here with just some pinks.
Just going to stick my hand out so they know I'm still here.
Just like so. And again, if we don't want to like it, we don't want to look at it, we can kind of just like compare and contrast. And then I can just paint with our lightest color, just like so. By the way, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I know we get people kind of jumping in and out, so feel free to ask if you have a query. I am more than happy to help.
Good job. Okay, come on. You got to do it. I know you're not going to do anything. You just want to stand. Go.
I want to make that
let creatures in. We don't want to let the creatures in.
All right, so now we're going to take a look at that. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So what we're doing now is we're just trying to start to paint in a little bit of highlighting. It's not going to be a lot. It's going to be a little bit, but that's okay. And then we'll just kind of.
Good job. I go to bed and I come back.
He's almost done. Yeah. Yeah.
When did you wake up?
I mean, I've been on the air for like an hour and a half, I think. Hold on. Yeah, I've been on the air. Well, just about an hour. So, and I cleaned up the kitchen.
I know. I saw that too.
I know.
Look at you, overachiever.
Well, I mean, I've been kind of down. Like
it's on a Saturday. You rocking it out.
I was kind of down because of that freaking migraine. So I felt like I wasn't really pulling my weight. So I was like, well, let me go ahead and get that fixed. You know. So. I love you too. Oh, and I figured we were going to do lasagna tonight.
That's excellent. You have one in there?
Yeah, we absolutely have one in there. Yeah, make that better. All right. So, and let's do that again with this guy over here. So if anybody's curious what I'm doing right now is I'm just starting to, now that I'm starting to see what we're looking at, I'm just starting to block out, actually that might be a little too much. I'm going to block out a little bit of our colors here, just so that way we can knock it all in. When I kind of get a nice little build. Yeah, I'm feeling that. That's looking good. Alrighty.
I got bit by a mosquito. I was outside for 0.1 seconds and I got bit by a mosquito.
We're outside for 0.1 second. You got bit by a mosquito. That sounds about right. That sounds about Pookie. You know what? I don't like that third progression of pink. I think it's overkill. I'm thinking, Ooh, did my stupid butt do what I think I did? Oh, I did. Oh, man. That's okay. I can undo all the work. I wasn't paying attention. Try it again. All right. There we go. I think that highlight pink might be just a little too much. I don't know. Maybe it's not. We'll come back and take a look at that again in a minute here.
Lots of people like that I was gifted booze at work.
Yes, people love that you were gifted booze.
And that I didn't get anything at Dragon Con.
Yeah, that was funny.
I have like 40 likes on the I didn't get anything at Dragon Con. And I have 18 likes on booze at work.
I think a lot of people were concerned for us about Dragon Con. I think a lot of people were like, I hope you guys...
With good reason.
With good reason. I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, we were actually talking about that a little bit this morning on the show. We were talking about, you know, like, we could feel that we're kind of getting to the end of it just because of the fact that everybody's going to have been vaccinated or, you know, gotten sick. It's like, but, you know...
But everyone at the show was either vaccinated or confirmed negative.
Yeah.
So...
It took a lot to get into that show, so...
There was a few...
Outliers.
There was a few outliers, like the person who showed up and vaccinated but infected, which is...
And then immediately went home.
Which is something that other people were saying was a distinct possibility.
Yep.
And so they were doing free testing at the show. No, not free test. $40. It was a $40 test at the show. And it came back positive, so he left.
Which was still super responsible.
Do you have to pay for tests? Is that normal, or is it because you work for the school and the school's paying for it?
I honestly don't know.
I really don't know.
I know that we didn't have to pay for it because my college paid for it.
That's the first time in all of this that I've gotten tested.
Yeah.
So,
but we came back negative with our PCR, which is good.
Woo!
It was gross though because we had to spit in a cup.
It was competitive spitting. Like everyone in the room was competitively trying to get their vial filled up the fastest. I won. There was absolutely...
I wasn't trying to win. I was just like...
People who had been there before me, I had checked in, sat down, waited, and then got my vial, and I still beat them because I am the greatest spitter in the world, I guess.
Breaking news. Laura's the greatest spitter in the world, apparently.
I will win any competitive spitting contest.
Oh, hey, we were going to invite Debbie to come with us. So shoot
I don't want to see anybody today.
Oh, never mind then.
I don't feel like...
Socializing?
Yes, that
Got
word.
it.
I feel like eating pizza, but I don't feel like socializing.
You don't feel like socializing. Fair enough. All right.
Sorry, Debbie.
If Debbie's watching right now, she's like, oh, that bitch.
I know. I'm a terrible person, but I promise I'll be more social
next week.
Next week. All
right. So, yeah, there we go. That's looking pretty good. I just don't like that last highlight of pink as far as like that fifth one up. But I'm really digging that. I think that's looking really good. So let's move over to the purples then. So let's say we'll call the pinks done for now. She is looking out the window. She's such a good girl.
Corday lays on her mommy.
Yep.
And Sasha looks up.
Alrighty. Now, the interesting part of painting with your almost lightest shade is that you're really just trying to pick up a few things. So notice that there's just a couple of ridges and a couple of lines that we really want to focus on. So like, if we're smart about this, we just want to kind of go through. And we're not trying to overdo it. We just want to add on just a bit.
Yeah, I know. It smells funny. Your sister peed on it. It smells weird.
Corday's been having to adjust to Laura going back to work a couple days a week. Well, let me rephrase. Laura works every day, but Monday through Friday. But her job has started to ask for them to come in, 2 days a week.
Even though half of the people aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was like, I'm going to start staying home. They were like, but then I'm missing you.
Which means that they're not really all too serious about these working. As long as the work's getting done, they don't really care, which is nice. You know, that gives you guys a lot of freedom and flexibility. But Corday has been getting a little traumatized by it because she's gotten used to Laura working from home for the last 2 years. And so Corday's had a couple of accidental piddles.
Almost 3, because before that I was working here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been almost 3 years. Sasha's never been without me.
Right, but Sasha's younger and knows how to control her bladder, whereas Corday has a little bit more nervous, kind of Nelly kind of situation.
Yeah, I think Corday's definitely experiencing some separation hostilities.
Hostility would be a good word. Yeah.
She has weaponized her bodily fluids.
Her.
Because it's not just pee. Sometimes it's vomit.
Yeah. The fact that our dog has learned how to weaponize her vomit kind of makes me a little mad at her. Like, I'm like, really? But she doesn't use it often.
You're like a little super soldier.
Okay, we can go with that. You're a super soldier.
You're just too cute for life. You could not possibly do anything malicious.
You know what? I don't like that, so I'm going to paint it again, like so.
My sweet, sweet summer puppy.
And that's what I needed. That was it. It's weird. Sometimes you paint something, you're like, okay, that was too much. And then you go back, you just add on just a little bit, and it's exactly what you needed. That's the beautiful part about this, is that you never quite know what the answer is going to be until you get in there. And then when you see it, you're like, oh, that was it.
You need to get you a little squirrel on your shoulder when you do these shows.
So I can Bob Ross it?
So you can be like Bob Ross with a little squirrel on your shoulder.
Okay. What was it? Peanut? What was his name?
I think it was Peanut.
We're just having happy little accidents over here. You know, happy accidents.
Happy little pixels.
Happy little pixels. Happy pixels. Happy pixels.
Copyright strike. Cease and desist.
Yeah, man. The Bob Ross organization. Whoa.
Those people are hostile.
Art's meant to be shared, man. Dear Lord.
I watched the documentary with the son.
Yeah.
About the. If y'all haven't seen it, I definitely suggest it.
It was called Happy Accidents. It was called Happy Accidents Art and Greed or something like that.
Something, I don't know, but
it's on Netflix.
It was unbelievable the way that the family of the people that
financed him,
that got Bob Ross to be where he was, worked out
how to screw over.
Worked out to how to get all the rights away from his son.
Who was supposed to own all of it.
He was supposed to have 51%, and his brother had 49%.
Right.
And somehow they got them to sign over, even though the son has no knowledge of signing over his 49%. He never did, but he was also underage, so somebody had a power of attorney and helped him. I don't know. I really don't understand how any of this happened because he has no memory of it. No, he wasn't. He was over 18. He was young, but he was over 18. He was in his 20s or something.
I'm not exactly sure how it happened.
Yeah, but he's not either. But anyway, so he gets no money. The son of Bob Ross actually gets nothing. Nothing from the Bob Ross organization. He's not even allowed to use the name Ross in anything he does.
Which is some BS.
So I was like, wow, that's really messed up. And then of course the Joy of Painting, which is the name of the company,
right,
put out, we deny everything. It's all false, which makes me immediately believe they're totally guilty.
Right, like we were talking about with Rick Flair last night. We're like, mm-hmm.
It's like when everyone around you is saying, yeah, and when the son, who has the most intimate knowledge of everything, says this, I'm going to believe him over you. You know? Yeah. He's the one who knew him better and is making nothing off of this.
Yeah, what's he gonna, accomplish from that? So
he's just telling what happened, and they refuse to comment except afterwards to say
nope.
Deny it.
Yep.
So yeah, sorry, I don't blame you. Sus.
Bob Ross organization is sus.
Joy of Painting.
Joy of Painting, whatever they call it.
Yeah, I think it's the Joy of Painting with Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Which is so sad because...
It is, because that's exactly the opposite of what Bob Ross would have wanted.
Yeah, totally. At least we assume.
Yeah.
Seemed like a legit dude.
Well, I mean, even the accounts, I mean, they talked about the fact that he had a little bit of a womanizing problem, but even then it was, like, he was a really good guy.
Flirty.
Yeah.
But not necessarily inappropriate.
Right.
Flirty. There's a difference between flirty and inappropriate.
Right.
I've worked with flirty people, but then when you meet a toucher, then
and he was never like that. They never described. Yeah,
that's where it steps over. Like inappropriate, flirty. There's flirty, inappropriate, and touchy.
Yeah.
I've worked with flirty. I've worked with inappropriate, and touchy. I immediately tell them to fuck off.
Right.
I don't deal with that. But I've worked with all three.
Yeah. I think we all have to a degree.
Having had jobs since the mid '90s.
Oh yeah, you've seen a lot of variations.
I've seen it come. I've seen it come from where things like that were totally allowed, and
Yep.
you just dealt with it as a woman, to now where I don't have to deal with that anymore. Generally, I can just be like, I'm going to HR. I'm calling the labor board. Something, you
Right.
know. I have options now. But you know, in '91, not '91, in 2001, when a guy poked my nipple, you know, that was. He was like, "Is it cold in here?" Poke. I'm like, that's inappropriate. But no one would do anything because they were like, oh, that's just how he is. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's not okay.
I remember, like, do I get to go up there and beat the crap out of him? Like, no. And I was like,
he is an 80-year-old dude.
Yeah. I'm like, come on, I can go beat the crap out of the guy. Wouldn't let me. All right. I think we're almost there. That's looking pretty good. Okay. So now that we've done that, and we've gotten everything looking pretty dang on site, it's time to start to focus on the last little bits here. So one thing I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that his little chest nodule area and then his hand would have kind of like this glowy red artifact. So we're going to go back to our reds here. I'm going to paint in a straight red, and then we'll kind of see what happens here in just a moment. So we're just going to quickly paint this in. Sorry, guys, using my brain. When I use my brain, I kind of shut up. Kind of put all my power into figuring out where I'm going to block this so I can get the most. There we go. That's looking at. That's what I wanted. Then we want the brightest red that I have here.
Lisa, these socks.
Who? What socks?
Everywhere I go, it's those pictures of Elise with her socks.
Oh my God. It's funny. There we go. All right. So now we have the little hand generator, repulsor beam, whatever we want to call it, all taken care of. We got the highlights, the lowlights. I'm thinking that's looking really good. What are you guys thinking about this? How are you feeling about our Sentinel here? The only part that we really have left to do now is the head, and I think we're done. So you guys have been able to see that. Let me save. And while we're doing that, let me go ahead and jump back over here for a moment. How are we feeling about this? Are we feeling pretty good? Are we feeling like it's getting there?
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully you like it.
Excellent job.
And if not, then hopefully I didn't completely ruin it. But I think we're getting really close to knocking this out.
Color changing vinyl. Oh my God, I love it so much.
So let's go ahead. We're going to dive back in. We're going to take a look at this head now.
I'm obsessed with this.
Okay, Laura's having a moment.
Look real quick.
What?
Wait for it. They're gonna put water in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool. So now we have the head. And the head shouldn't be too difficult to do. We're just going to do exactly what we did with the other stuff. But we're going to make its own layer because sometimes the head can be the most pain in the butt. So we'll call that the head.
Wait.
What?
Where the fuck did she get Klingon fabric?
She might have just made it. All right. So right now I'm just looking back and forth, kind of seeing where my highlights and my lowlights are going to be.
I ordered a glow forge. It'll be here 2 weeks from now.
What? I'm sorry, what?
You're like, what?
That's I need to get off the air. We need to have a conversation.
I thought I would just sneak it in there while you were distracted.
The hell you will. There's no sneaking of a glow forge.
I already know what I'm gonna make on
I can do that.
it. Make earrings and nightlight.
And that's just to begin with.
I get asked about earrings so much.
We do get asked about earrings a lot. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. I have a million ideas for earrings though. And then when I saw the tutorial the other day about painting them in with acrylic markers,
You're like, this will be mine.
I was like, yes, this is the perfect idea. She etches them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's less lasering and more etching, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess she puts it on a lower setting so it doesn't burn the wood too much.
I feel you.
And then she just fills it in. That's what they said.
Cool.
She said most of the work is just the patience involved in painting the tiny little etch holes, you know, when it's 12 millimeters, you know?
Right.
You're painting it with a fine tip pen. But it looked really good. And I get asked about earrings so much. I think they would do good.
They might do very well.
So I bookmarked that so I can go back to it. And she uses like Posca markers. A lot of people use those for their resin stuff too.
That's cool. So if anybody's curious what I'm doing right now, I'm just kind of figuring out where I'm going to put my certain shades. Just kind of working it out here.
So there's this company I follow on Instagram called Kibak Tile, and I think it's Kibak. KIBAK_tile. And they do hand painted tile. So they hand paint the tile and then they fire it. So this is what people who want to do very, very custom high-end tile, this is where they kind of go.
Okay.
But literally they hand paint each individual tile.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Like
right.
If it's a big order with 100 tiles, they hand paint the design.
Of course, that's what they have to do, right? Yeah.
God, I'm like, it's really satisfying to watch her paint one, but can you imagine the monotony after you've done the same thing 99 times?
No, I can't imagine that at all, Laura. Staring at pixels all day.
I just feel like the same thing over and over and over. Same design, same colors. Basically, all the colors always look very monotone too, because the firing process brings out the color.
Sure.
So it mostly just looks like it's grays and whites. But then when they fire it, it turns into all kinds of other colors, which is weird to me how, I guess, and it's the same with 3D printing.
Right.
The filament not always, sometimes does, looks like the final result. When it comes through the printer, it goes from like this weird pukey color to like purple or something, you know? That's weird. It's also weird how she stares at this monotone gray tile and then it turns out to be like blue or something.
I think that's just experience of your medium. We were talking about that earlier on the show where I was talking about, really getting comfortable with your medium is the most important part of the entire.
What is in your mouth?
And then she wags her tail like nothing.
You dork. So much I love you. Age-old question. What is in your mouth?
And then she wags her tail like she's like nothing.
Mommy. Yeah, lick that spot. There's a mosquito bite right there. I got it from getting you. You owe me. Use some of your puppy saliva to make it stop itching.
Okay.
You rolled around in something. You got a dirty spot on your back.
We just took you to get clean, dog.
And then she looks at me like, I found you.
She's like, I'm a good girl.
You really are. You both are good girls. You both are good girls, and I love you both. Why is there vermicelli on my chair? You haven't had vermicelli.
I do not know.
Hi, sweet peas. Are you already asleep? You just woke up.
Happy, content dogs will sleep up to 16 hours a day. So a happy dog will wake up, do something, and go right back to sleep. And there we go. Yep.
Well, then you are the world's most content dog.
I think we're there, baby. I think we're there, people. Sorry, I was talking to Laura, and I realized we're still on the air. So I think we're at it. I think we got it. I might play around with that face a little bit more, but my brain is about fried at this point. But there we go. So, what do you guys think? Hopefully. Good late morning. Hi, Fairy. How you doing? Sorry I didn't see that comment until just now. We've just been working here. But yeah, good morning. We were just finishing up this design, and I think we're at it. So hopefully it's like McDonald's because I'm loving it. Ty wants to know what's a glow forge.
It's a laser. It's a laser.
It is. It's a laser
cutter.
Yeah, it's a laser cutter. So we're able to cut acrylics, and we can carve into metal and wood. It basically allows us to cut with a laser, which is pretty cool. It's a carbon laser. And by the way, I looked up, and our carbon footprint would go up negligibly by using it. So, because I'm all about that right now.
Of course you did.
So, but yeah, it allows us to cut.
It's also one of the bigger options.
Yeah, it's as big as this table that I'm. Well, not quite that big.
There's some that I could buy on Amazon for like $500, like right now, but they're like 12 by 8.
Yeah,
and
it's about a $3,000 machine.
For the small things I want to make, I think the $500 laser would probably work just fine because I've been looking at some videos on YouTube about how to set it up. Because apparently the one that you can get, the affordable one, is not a starter version.
Right.
They're like, you have to have already experience with working with lasers and how to set them up because they come half built.
Mm-hmm.
They're not very well done. They're not very well made, and you have to do your own tweaks.
Right.
The Glowforge comes out of the box, ready to produce.
Absolutely.
So for
five
times the money, I guess, you get something that doesn't require as much headspace. I don't know.
It doesn't. It's just startup. Doesn't have as much startup.
Which I actually like.
Yep.
Because I don't want to have to spend half a year learning a new product.
How to do that, yeah. So there we go. I think we're here. Laura, do you want to come see the final product?
I have all the puppies on me. You know what I'll do?
All right, we're going to go over to the full screen here so Laura can see. But yeah.
I'm going to Twitch.
So there we go. I think we're at it. I think we got a good look. And I think, yeah, I'm really feeling that. So I might make an audible or two later on. I might go back and recolor the face a little bit, but I'm liking that. I'm liking how everything's coming together. I think that's a really cool piece.
So good.
Yeah, that looks really tight. I'm really happy with that. So that's the design here, folks. So for those of you who've always been curious,
I like how you shaded around the boot to where it looks like it actually fits his leg and it's not just a big bucket.
Yeah.
Because like in the pictures that I saw, it kind of looked like he was just clogging along in a big bucket.
I mean, basically,
like,
yeah.
I don't know how he kept his shoes on.
Right.
But the way you shaded around the...
And here, I'll go back full screen so that way I can...
I also don't understand how you would wear a boot like to your knee like that.
Yeah, right. Well, you don't really wear it because you always talk about you have really thick calves. You're like, my calves are gigantic.
Yes, but they look bendy. These boots don't look bendy.
Yeah.
These boots look like...
I think that works.
They're big chunks of steel bucket.
Yeah.
And that don't really bend. So I imagine him just clogging along like, ugh.
They do. They clog along. There really is like this cloggy kind of thing. So, but I think that looks really good. I think now that we're getting the fun here, I'll put myself in the corner here. I think that's really looking exactly where I want to.
Again, the shoulders have grown on me.
I'm glad the shoulders have grown on you. I'm in the chat so I can see everybody. But yeah, I think it's really working quite nicely. Again, I might tweak that face a little bit. It could be a giant rubber boot. It could be giant rubber boots. But Callie is the person who has commissioned this, and now she has seen the process of what it takes for me to design a big piece of design. So for those of you who are joining us and maybe have never seen this before, let's do a little time machine here. So let's go all the way back to where we started. Okay, so when we started this design, I want to turn all this off, is we started with parts. And we started with a very fuzzy, very kind of not well put together piece. I actually grabbed some legs from Magneto to kind of give myself an idea of where we're going to go. Hopefully everybody can see that. Let me see. Yeah, okay, good. Here, we'll go full screen on me for a moment here. I thought, well, no, I was going to have its hand like glow like it was going to shoot a laser. Oh God, no! She didn't pay for lasers. But I wanted its hand to have a glow like it could shoot a laser. Technically, its hands can shoot a laser, or there's also a tentacle that can come out of it. But I wanted it to glow red like it was going to have that. So, but we started with this, which is just kind of like just a real fuzzy, algorithmically kind of generated sprite from some artwork that I was able to find, and we kind of placed it and messed around with it.
Legs.
Magneto's legs. We actually started off with these legs, if you guys remember, that I was playing around with, trying to figure out how I was going to put it all together.
Kelly, I ain't got laser money.
I ain't got no laser money. So once we did that, I said, okay, I feel pretty good about where we started. So this is where we left off as far as like the design. And so then from there, what we did is we went into outline mode. And here, I'll put this all the way at the bottom so we can kind of go back and forth on this. So the outline mode, we just went directly over the old piece, and I decided where the major pieces of line art were going to be. And then from there, we did color blocking. And color blocking is literally we just paint with the main colors of this piece. And from there, that's where we started to build it up. We stopped a little bit after this, but as I told people, everything looks like crap almost into the very end. So don't feel bad when you look at it and go, this doesn't look good, because you're painting with color. You're painting with light. So what I did is I started painting with midtones, and that added a lot. That right there brought us 85% of the way home. Then we painted with some highlights. And those highlights, as you can see, we also added in a little bit of red for the glow of the hand and in the chest cavity. And then finally, we added on the head. And we finally got that weird mouth where it's always open. Because look, they always have this weird, like, I've got a weird mouth. So we wanted to have that kind of look. In fact, actually, there's one thing I do want to do with the head real quick since I'm looking right at it. Let me go right back in. I want to give it a define.
Does he shoot laser beams out of his chest too?
He can, kind of like Iron Man, but not often. But you see, he's got like that little. They shoot lasers out of their hands, and they also have the little chest cavity that glows. So I wanted to give them that option for both sides. So yeah, I like that. And so then that was it. That was how we got to where we went to, and it only took like 4.5 hours to design it. Normally, it doesn't take me this long to design a character, like maybe 2 hours less. But yeah, but in general, that's what we're dealing with. And we wanted to make it scale to the pixel bit, so that way when Callie gets this and puts it on her area, I don't know exactly where she's putting it, on a bookshelf or whatever.
I don't think she knows either.
Yeah. They'll be able to stand, and she can have all the X-Men fighting this big old freaking Sentinel. So there's one last question, Callie. What direction is he facing? So when I iron this, what direction do you want him facing? Do you want him facing screen left, which is where he's currently going, or do you want him facing screen right? That is a decision we need made, and then we'll go from there.
An altar.
An altar, yeah, basically an altar.
All hail Sentinel.
All hail Master Sentinel. So yeah, we just need to figure out what direction you want him in. So right now he's currently facing left. But we can also have him screen right if you like. We just need a decision from our commissioner. So, Commissioner Callie, this is your call. You get to let us know. Commissioner Callie, are we going to go left or are we going to go right? Here, I'll put myself in the corner here so that way you guys can. Hi. So we're just waiting. So we're hoping that we can get a. Let's see here.
It's weird to watch you in
the corner.
In like 8 or 9 second delay.
Oh, is it? Okay. Oh, if you want to see here, we can actually show you left or right real quick. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like it the other way. Oh, no. I like him facing left. I think left is, oh, yeah. Left feels right. That feels correct.
Left feels right.
Left feels correct. I don't, let's look at that again. Hold on. I'll flip him just so you can see it. I don't like that. Why does that look wrong?
It doesn't look any different to me. It just looks like he's facing the other way.
It looks wrong to me. I think it's because I know Wolverine's backwards. Yeah, I like him better like that. Personally,
it's because you've been looking at him in that direction.
It's true. I will totally. There's a confirmation bias in my head. So there's totally a confirmation bias going on in my head when it comes to looking at these two side by side. So okay, so we'll have him facing left then. But yeah, I think we're good. I think we got to that point. So at this point, then let's see. We got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll be 5.5 tall by 1, 2, 3, 4 wide. So we'll round that up to 6 by 4. So he'll be 24 of these little boards here. These little.
A lot of tape.
It's gonna be a lot of tape. Oh, don't worry, I got tape. Where's my tape?
I don't know. I ate it.
I got tape.
You need more tape.
No, this will be plenty. This will be plenty.
3 of the current ones are left. 6 are right, so left is better for balance.
Okay, so Callie knows what she got. She knows what she's about. But if you want to know the actual count, let's give you the final count. I can actually give you the final count pretty easily here. So,
is it 33 pounds of beads?
No, it's not 33 pounds. The final count, for those of you who are curious, is right here. That will be 8,057 beads. So it'll be 8,057 beads to build this piece out.
Are we bringing this with us when we go to Chicago, or are we shipping this?
We haven't decided yet. I was totally up for just bringing it up for her. We'll just bring it up so that way she doesn't have to worry about transpo.
Are you going to C2E2, Callie?
As far as I know, she's going to C2E2. She said she's excited to see us there. So.
Okay, yeah.
But there we go. So right over 8,000 pixels is what the full size of this Sentinel is going to be, and that's a big monster. So yeah, that's pretty cool though. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the process of checking that out.
Sweet summertime.
Remember when we thought the Phoenix was big? Yeah. By comparison, I think the Phoenix was like 2,500, 3,000 beads. So he is literally by a factor of 3 larger. She said she'll be there Saturday or Sunday. So there we go. I hope that helps you guys kind of understand what it takes to build a pixel. Obviously, this is a huge piece. But it was still a fun process so you guys could see. Oh, by the way, Ty said, see, Ty knows what I'm talking about. The knee looks weird when it's to the right. It does. For some reason, it doesn't look quite right. But I'm glad we were able to show you exactly what it is. Because people ask all the time, well, I know that you're lifting from this, and I know you're lifting from that. And I'm like, yeah, I lift from like 16 different things, and I smash it all together, and then I rebuild it from scratch. And I do this with every single pixel design that gets commissioned. And the stuff that I work on privately, I just build until I feel like it's happy. So nothing I make is ever just, I saw that and made it.
In the end, you still redrew the boots.
Yeah, I mean, I redrew the boots. I mean, everything got changed.
You retweaked those around the legs
so
it could fit, because nothing was going to be exactly right.
And remember, there was nothing from that hand down. There was nothing for me to reference for the Sentinel. And even on the top, I used it as a point of reference, but in the end, it's a completely different monster, which is the cool part about this is, if you're a pixel artist out there and you're like, oh, I don't want to rip off people's artwork. Don't think of it as ripping off. If you're inspired and you can come up with your own version of it, that's good. When you're just taking it and just making it one-to-one, recreating, that's less kosher. But if you're inspired by this, you're like, oh, let me try this, and then let me move this arm over here, and then let me repaint the whole thing and put my own color palette in there, and maybe I'll put more blues in. You're making it your own. And that's something I think a lot of people don't take into account. A lot of artists get very, very, very mad about that.
I think there's a difference between like a painting on the wall that an artist drew.
A swipe, yeah.
If I just repainted their painting, I repainted their painting.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it did.
Right.
But with something like this, there's a lot of room in pixel art. There's a lot of room.
There's a lot of room.
But it depends on the medium.
It really does. It does depend on the medium. And there are all kinds of weird things. In comic artwork, there's literally something called swiping, where somebody will take a pose and take a look, and then they'll basically do it in their own style. And back in the day, people used to hate it, and then people started making it to an art form. I'm doing this in the vein of, and they'll actually write down their name in the vein of, and then whoever the artist is. And people really appreciate that because they like the fact that it's being nodded to. And I never try
Sometimes.
and most times these days.
Some artists get really
bent out of shape about it.
Like there was that one artist a couple months ago where somebody redid one of his, and I think it was one of those "I fixed it for you" threads. He got super pissed.
Well, but the flip side of that is, pixel art is there's not a lot of pixel artists out there. There's not a lot of people who are putting the effort into trying to build this stuff. So if you're out there and you're trying to build pixel art, try to do something that makes it you. This is what I do. And it works pretty well for me. So that's something I think is really a lot of fun. And I enjoy doing this. And I was happy to show you guys behind the scenes what it takes to build something. And you guys got to watch it from beginning to end. You literally got to watch me just take the the reference material and build it all the way up. And literally, there's not a single piece of original sprite left in this. Every single pixel has been painted by me. I've made decisions, I've made changes, and that's the cool part, is once you get an idea of how much work an artist can put into it, you can really start to appreciate, maybe why they're charging you X amount of dollars or whatever. So Callie got the benefit of getting a discount because we know her and because we were going to use this as a way for people to see it. So we were able to discount her a little bit on the pricing because I didn't want to break her bank.
And generally, you only charge $5 design fee.
Yeah, I only charge $5 to design.
Do that?
Okay, so I'm at an hour 47, and then yesterday we did a 3-hour, but I would say the first hour of that was so 4 hours.
When people ask for custom design,
right? And I charge $5.
You're charging $5 for that design.
Actually, I think for her I charge $10 for the custom, but
I have seen sometimes you charge $10.
If it's going to be a really big piece.
Even then, $10 is
split over maybe 2 to 4 hours. How much am I paying myself? Like $2.50 an hour or something to design. And I mean, that takes a lot of time, but if I charge people what it actually costs in time, let's just put it this way. If I charged remotely what it cost me to build the Sentinel in Photoshop, my going rate as a digital artist is about $50 an hour. So I would have had to charge Callie about an extra $200 just on the design side, plus then making it. So when you're seeing that, you're seeing somebody say, "Hey, you're gonna have to pay $50 for this piece, or $45."
That would be like if the sprite was getting used for something.
Right. But I'm just saying, that's what I charge for.
Here's the sprite.
Right.
I'm designing it for you, and now you build it.
Right.
That's what you would charge.
Yeah. So always kind of keep that in mind, But
most of the money is in the build.
Yeah, most of the money is in the build. So I tend to try to find the best way possible to build it. But I knew this was going to be a fun thing. I knew I was going to do an online tutorial, let you guys see it. So I thought that'd be kind of fun. And I hope you enjoyed it because this was a really cool experience. It was a lot of fun. And with that, I think we're about done for the day. So we'll do one more zoom in so you guys can see it again. There's our Sentinel. For those of you who have seen me build pixel bits before, Wolverine's there for scale. He's standing about 6 to 7 inches tall. That Sentinel is much, much, much larger. So that is what it's going to look like. And we'll build that on a future show. I'll actually build him, and you guys can watch me build him literally board by board, and we'll tape him and we'll poke him.
I have to imagine he's going to take several days.
Oh yeah, he'll be a multiple day build.
He'll be one you build and walk away. He needs his own table or something.
Oh yeah, this table will be cleared off. I will be working exclusively on this table.
No, but I mean, so you can build other things. He would be on his own table.
I think what I'll do, and it'll probably be next weekend, is I'll probably build him on Saturday and Sunday, and I'll just work through the week on other stuff, and knock it out, But again, since we don't have to produce this until we go to C2E2, maybe I'll take a couple weeks before I actually build it, since we're just going to literally hand it to Callie. That gives us a little flexibility, unless she needs it now. And Callie, if you need it sooner rather than later, let me know, and I'll make sure to get it out sooner rather than later.
Because we have to work on the supports.
Yeah, well, obviously we got to work on the supports.
That might.
I've already figured it out, so we'll talk more about the support mechanisms. I got the supports worked out.
Okay.
I've actually worked out the supports. The new support mechanisms for these big boys, it's going to be pretty cool. Basically, it's going to be glue, metal, and some rod mechanisms, and it's going to lock into place. It's going to be really cool.
Kind of glue. E6000?
We'll talk about it. So, but other than that, there we go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Are there any questions out there? Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask before we go? Anything that you're curious about? Anything I can help you with before we wrap up for this particular broadcast? Again, here, I'll pull them back up one more time. There we go. That was what we've been working on. That is our Pixel Sentinel that we've been working on, and turned out really well. And like I said, he's about 24. He's approximately 24 boards. He's really not 24 boards because these boards here on the right aren't going to get used as much. I think if you talk about full space, he's probably closer to 20 boards, but still 24 boards will be used in order to make him.
Do we even have that many boards?
Oh yeah, I got a whole bag of boards.
Oh.
I got 30 boards. Yeah. He's going to be on the high end, but yeah, it'll be fine. I got 10 right there. So. But yeah, so I think that's it. Any questions? Any comments? Anything else we could do? Let's see here. So we had it was nice seeing behind the curtain. Thank you. I appreciate you. We also have, if you're not swamped with orders, I might have some pixels for you. Shoot me a message. I know a lot of you won't be able to see us in person, but this is my custom order sheet for people who have actually already put in orders. So this is going to get done over the next couple of weeks. I'll be knocking a couple of them out a day, at least one a day. And then this is my order sheet for C2E2. I got a lot that's coming up. So I may not have a lot of time, but as long as you're flexible on delivery, we can get it worked out. But if you need it like in the next couple of weeks, yeah, shoot us a message. And if you ever need to do that, always remember that you can contact us over on our Facebook page, which is what? Facebook.com/PopCycle. So here, I'll pull that up for you real quick. So if you ever need to do that, you can just simply go to Facebook.com/PopCycled. You can also find us on Instagram at PopCycled, or you can even email us at info@popcycledbobbles.com. So if you want to do that, you can also do that. So if you want to email us at popcyclebobbles.com. So again, if you'd like to do that, check it out. And I would like to also point out, if you love our flasks, our DragonCon flasks, you can actually get that by going to popcycle.etsy.com. So yeah, check all that out and let us know what's up. And yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun. So with that, I really got to get our outro worked up so it doesn't say starting soon. But I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
We will be starting soon, another day.
We will be starting something new very soon. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm glad you loved it. We'll definitely try to do another show maybe tomorrow where I'm actually going to build some stuff. It won't be the Sentinel. I'll be working on something else. I don't know. Maybe Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. What the hell am I going to work on? I don't know. I'll figure it out. Maybe Persona 5. But anyways, guys, I hope you had fun with this. I hope you're all having a fantastic time. We're getting a special guest to come hang out with us to do our first random fandom about Friday the 13th. I'm finishing connecting some stuff. So you'll see. That's why it's a special guest. But we'll have somebody sitting with us, and we'll be talking about some Friday the 13th stuff.
Here?
No, we'll probably do it like StreamYard, so we'll all be like in little rooms. Anyways, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you so much, folks, and tell your friends, hang out, hit the like button if you like us, and leave comments, and we'll see you on the next one. And again, forgive the starting soon. Obviously, we are leaving. We'll just have a nice little countdown, and we'll talk to you next time. So until then, take care of yourself, stay healthy. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.